Okay, just arrived at Milk Hill. A bit cloudy at the moment, but it's supposed to brighten up, so hopefully have a good one. There's a couple of wings in the air earlier. There's one in the air in the bowl behind us, but yeah, just have to see what happens. See if we can get a nice little exit in today. Here we go, Milk Hill, just trying to climb out. Quite a gaggle here. It's cloudy at the moment, a little bit of sunshine on the fields in front. 1,500 feet at the moment. Yeah, second time I've flown at Milk Hill, really good site, Thames Valley site. First time I flew it a month or so ago. Unfortunately, I got under a cloud climbing out over the back towards West Overton, so I've done 2 or 3 kilometres or so, and it started spitting with rain, so decided to land on that occasion. Yeah, it was really nice to see a few of the other guys from our club. Brian, who was flying his brand new Photon, as well as Dan and Ollie, who were hoping to do some cross country as well. There are quite a few pilots on launch, as well as some of the really good cross country pilots, people that have done over 100 kilometres in the past. As you can see, it was relatively busy in the air, so everyone trying to get up as safely as possible and get into the thermal to get over the back to start their journey. Yeah, a couple of times got into pretty decent thermals, got some good height to get over the back, but wasn't happy with how it felt, so pushed back out over the front to look for something a little bit stronger. Yeah, eventually after a few attempts, found a pretty decent thermal to try and get away from the hill. There was a gaggle went up probably a couple of minutes or so before myself and another small group of pilots. They were going up quite steadily and were a good distance above the smaller group of us. But I guess in a way it was quite nice to see others ahead of us, so we could map the sky and see how they done and see what direction they were going. Yeah, so continue to gain altitude quite nicely and thermaling with a few of the other pilots quite nicely, keeping a safe distance from each other. Yeah, I guess one of the things with cross-country flying is you don't know who the other guys are unless you're kind of from the same club. It's only when you land, if you land close enough to each other, you actually find out who the other pilots are that you've actually flown with on that day. But yeah, flying all was pretty decent, so no problems there at all. Yeah, albeit it's nice flying by yourself and having a bit of your own air to fly in. It's also really great having other people around you marking out where the decent lift is. So if you keep your eyes open, you can see who's going up quicker than others in which portion of the sky. So flying with a gaggle as big as this was pretty helpful on this occasion. So this is the point of the flight where you've got to make the first of a few decisions with regard to your flying. It's where you decide where to stop thermaling going upwards and start on your first glide towards any distance you want to try and achieve. Here we go. On the climb out, I'd got to around about 2,700 feet or so, and you can see I was surrounded by quite a few other paragliders. They were going for it, so I was around about the same height as them, so it seemed like a good decision to go for it rather than try and squeeze any more height out of the thermal that had pretty much petered out anyway. Yeah, this is one area where I think I could probably improve some of my flying just by being a little bit more patient, maybe hanging back a little bit more and eking out a little bit more of the climb. Some of the other pilots were doing a few 360s and just squeezing a little bit more altitude before gliding towards areas where there wasn't as much lift. So at this point, everybody was heading down, so there wasn't a great deal of lift here. It appeared that people on the left-hand side weren't going down quite as quickly, so that was probably the best direction to take at this point. Yeah, this area's just to the south and west of Marlborough, so I've noticed for future flights that not a great deal of lift here, so probably best to get over the town or the far side as quickly as possible. So quite a few paragliders heading over the top of Marlborough. I was starting to get a little bit low, so needed some lift at this point. So heading in their direction, quite a few of them we're starting to 360, so it looked like there was some lift over the town. Yeah, I must have missed out on a couple of small thermals there because others were going up and I wasn't. So maybe a couple of mistakes there, missing some of the air that was rising. But eventually hooked up with the blue wing that you can see, and we've kind of worked as a team to start to improve our situation. At one point here, I was down to around about 350, 400 feet. Yeah, checking some of the track logs later in the day, I think a few of the other pilots ended up going down around about this kind of area around Marlborough. So when I did start to get the lift with a couple of others, it was a nice warm feeling to get back up and keep the journey going. Yeah, this is definitely where the concentration and flying has to be at its best, because one wrong move, one wrong turn, or you miss a sign of somebody else's lift or a bird that's going up, and the next thing you know, you'll be down to a couple hundred feet and looking for somewhere to land. Yeah, this portion of the flight was quite a fight, and definitely the most stressful section of it. Like I say, down to 300 or 400 feet and fighting to find some lift. But as well as looking for the lift, you're also looking for somewhere to land if you start losing height relatively quickly. So the brain has to be working quite quickly at this stage. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that if the other pilot hadn't have worked together with us, I'd have ended up on the ground here. It was nice just seeing where he was getting lift from, and seeing where we could potentially start going up. Yeah, at this point it's starting to feel a little bit happier in a nice steady climb, thermaling with another pilot, and going up at a nice rate away from the ground. So yeah, it looks like at this stage the journey is going to continue for a little bit further. Yeah, we're going up quite nicely here, decent thermal, and then I made out the orange and green wing over to my right hand side, slightly ahead, going up even faster, so made my way over towards them and get up into some nice lift. I don't know if you noticed the left hand side of the orange wing had a small collapse as I was making my way over towards them. Yeah, from this point onwards, I pretty much stuck with the green wing, which who I found out afterwards was being flown by a guy called Eddie, who landed nearby to at the end of the flight. So it looked like it was flying really nicely, and so stuck with him, and it certainly paid off.
Well, I'm going to climb 2.6, 900. Leaves with a bit of company, but it's a bit rough. Kilometres. My best from Thames Valley. Stick with these guys. I've got a chance of doing, I don't know, 30 maybe. Let's see. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm pretty new to cross-country flying, so always a good idea to stick with others, try and learn from their movements, their experience, and that way hopefully stay in the sky a little bit longer, and also potentially have somebody to share a retrieve with once we've landed.
Lift in the distance there.
Yeah, the guy on the orange wing, I think that's Nick, and as I mentioned, Eddie on the green wing, both really good guys to fly with. Learnt quite a lot from them on this flight, and they were pretty good company in the air. Stuck with them for the rest of this flight, using their experience, their know-how, and I think that probably got me a little bit of extra distance. So between us, managed to find some good lift, kept the flight going nicely. Sky was decent in front of us at this stage, and managed to scrape the clouds a few times, so always good fun doing that. And obviously the scenery from above looked fantastic. So no other major dramas on this flight. The sky was pretty good for 75-80% of the flight. Just started to cloud over towards the end, and the ground I don't think was quite so warm, so producing fewer thermals. Yeah, unfortunately, towards the end of the flight, the GoPro battery died, so no more footage. But we ended up flying over the top of Wantage and then started losing height. So, looking for somewhere to land, ended up landing just to the northwest of Didcot.
So a really good flight, got up all right in the end. Quite windy on launch, a few gusts coming through, a few issues with the wing on launch, but got up in the end, got away with a little bit of a gaggle, and flew really nicely. Did touch the clouds a few times, got to about, I think it was about 3,200. Stuck with a couple of guys, and we've just landed, the other two guys just on the side of the motorway, and I'm in a field just west of Didcot, so 50 kilometres, second best or third best flight in the UK, so really pleased with that one. Worth the trip out.
Yeah, it was great to meet up with the other two guys after the flight and share a few stories of time in the sky together, and then eventually making our way back to Milk Hill.